Hello there, cat people. Welcome to episode 28 of the Shelter Cats podcast. We are deep into season 2. The Shelter Cats podcast is my labor of feline love. All about the shelter cats that have made a difference in my life, about the people that make a difference in the lives of shelter cats, and hopefully will serve as an inspiration to get you to adopt a shelter cat of your own. Adopt, don't shop. Right now, as I'm recording this in my scratchy voice, I'm getting over a stomach bug, so I may sound a little funny. But right now, as I'm speaking to you, there is an amazing shelter cat waiting in a rescue, in a shelter, in a town shelter, in a foster, or even by your back door, waiting to come home with you and change your life forever. Because there's no love like feline love. Absolutely no love in the world like feline love. So, and that's my show, the Shelter Cats podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. We're now on the 28th episode, deep into season 2, an amazing season planned. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Captain Hudson. We all need a Captain Hudson in our lives, don't we? But this week we have an amazing Long Island rescue, Community Cats of Long Island. Another episode where I had some technical difficulties, but what the hell? Does it really matter? Do you all care? I have not gotten one complaint where anybody says, I will refuse to listen because of all your technical difficulties. Nobody cares. It's about the cats. So, thank you for bearing with me. I'm getting better as a host and as an editor for the show, so thank you so much. And I want to hear from you too. I'm hearing from wonderful rescues all over the country, even internationally. I'm hearing from people from all walks of life that have their stories to tell about their cats and the efforts they do to change the lives of cats, whether they're homeless cats or shelter cats. So I want to hear from you too. So how do you find me? Well, I'll tell you. You can go on the web at tylerthecat.com. You can go and email me, dan@tylerthecat.com. I'm on Facebook. The page is called Shelter Cats. I'm on Twitter. The page is called Shelter Cats POD. Or my own Twitter is Dan Tract, which I do a little more. It's called X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I am on Instagram and TikTok, Shelter Cats Podcast. I am on Threads, Shelter Cats Podcast. I am on YouTube, also with Shelter Cats. And I know I said there was going to be video, but I'm kind of dragging my feet about the video part because A, I don't want to look at myself interviewing people. B, the people that I interview, God bless them, they come back from rescues and they don't want to be on video. So I think we're going to stick with the audio for now. But I have the audio on the YouTube channel. So if you're a YouTube aficionado like I am, I'm on YouTube basically all the time, you can play the episode on YouTube if you so desire. So that's how you find me. Don't be shy. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories, and you may be a future guest in season 2 or season 3. So today we have Stephanie, who is the director of Community Cats of Long Island. She is a tireless advocate on behalf of shelter cats and homeless cats and feral cats, and just does amazing things on behalf of homeless cats. And that's what this is all about. People that just make a difference, and I want to get their stories. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn off my scratchy sore throat, and here is my chat with Stephanie of Community Cats of Long Island. Enjoy.
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie. It's been so long since we've spoken. How are you? Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Good. We're gonna. So, just so everyone knows, we had technical difficulties, so we're starting the recording from the beginning. So, Stephanie, welcome to the Shelter Cats podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So, you've never heard this before, but I have to say it again. But everyone listening, this is the first time you're hearing it. This show is all about giving voice to people who've helped shelter cats, homeless cats, feral cats, Cats that are not shopped, cats that are adopted. That's the whole point of this show. So I've given voice to a lot of rescues, all up and down the East Coast. So can you introduce yourself again and tell me how you got into rescuing cats?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Stephanie Natanacola, and I started off at a young age. My parents kind of got me into it indirectly. So they had an ice cream shop out in Shirley, and there were feral cats behind the shop, and I started feeding them and taking care of them. I think I was about 8 years old, and my mom and I went ahead and started getting them all fixed because there were quite a lot. There were about 30 cats back there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went with her to the vet appointments. We did the aftercare together after surgery. So I kind of learned a lot, um, from doing that at an early age too.
Did you have cats at home?
Um, we had, I think, two cats at the time.
Okay, so you not only had cats, you grew up. Your parents had an ice cream shop. I'm jealous, first of all.
Yeah, it was quite fun. I got to taste everything every single day.
'Cause it's like you can have all the ice cream you want as a kid. That's like my dream now as an adult. Um, so they were living in the back of the store basically,
Yeah, like out behind the store.
and so that really like fostered your passion for wanting to help cats.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where it started, and um, the our first two cats had come from behind the store, and I think the we had taken a couple more. I think there were three more that came from there. Um, they were actually dumped back there because people saw that we were taking care of the cats, so they just started leaving cats and friendly cats and kittens back there. So
Oh
it was
wow!
it was a little crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's where it grows so fast to 30 cats.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of that were like the unfixed females that we started obviously spaying.
Right.
Um, but then, as people learned about it, they would just keep dumping cats back there too.
So how long did that last, and when did you get into actually being the community cats of Long Island? How did that come about?
So we left the store. My parents sold it when I was, I think, 16. Um, and then I think 2 years after that, I started doing more TNR in the community on my own. I started helping homeowners. I was, assisting them with the trapping. I was fostering adoptable cats for different rescue groups that I had trapped. Um, doing
On your own.
aftercare, yeah, everything on my own. I think at one point my bedroom kind of turned into like a foster room. So at one point, I think I had 12 fosters in my bedroom. Um, I probably had about like 8 cages set up all over my room. It was crazy.
And you
Um,
still lived in that room as well?
yeah, I slept in the bed. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That is something that I could picture. I just picture everybody who does rescue has a bedroom full of cats.
yeah.
This is how it has to be. So how did the organization come about?
So that started in 2021. Um, I had met my boyfriend Zach, and he he wasn't not a cat person, but he's never really had cats. But I kind of like dragged him into the cat rescue world forcefully. I'm like, come to the dark side with me. Um, so
Did he
he's
resist?
not really. He's like, all right, this is cool. I guess I could do this. Um,
I
so
like him already.
yeah, yeah, and he started off, I was feeding a bunch of cats in Amityville, all my feral colonies, and he would come with me there on weekends and, help me, change bedding in the houses and feed them and everything. Um, and then I moved in with him, and was still going to drive back and forth to take care of my cats, obviously. And he's like, no, no, we'll just build something in the yard and we'll take all the cats. I'm like, all right, that's sounds good to me. Um, so we actually built, we have two buildings and then we have an enclosure area. So all my Amityville cats, we trapped them all and brought them all with me. Um, and then that's
Wow.
kind of, yeah, so that's kind of how Community Cat started. Because from there, my vision was always to take in, like sick or, like terminally ill cats, almost like hospice care for ferals. Um,
That's amazing.
yeah, so I really love taking care of the ones that like nobody else wants, the reject cats.
Right.
Um, so, I have all my Amityville cats still with me, but we have taken in other cats that, have issues and came from colony situations. And we have one that's deaf and blind. We have one with an amputated tail. We have another one who has asthma. So we have a bunch of like interesting kitties with us.
So where it's obvious their colony days are over, I guess.
Yeah, so they'll spend the rest of the life with me here.
So it really is a community.
Yeah, yeah. So this is our main thing is our little sanctuary here in our yard, and we're actually going to be expanding the enclosure area probably in another month or two. And that's our main thing, but I do try and help people still, if they have cats that they need to TNR, I loan them traps, I show them how to trap. I try and teach them instead of just doing it for them, because I feel like that's a lot more beneficial, especially with all the animals that need help. It's like you just can't be everywhere at once. So,
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned burnout. That's obviously the number one issue with cat rescue, especially in New York. I interviewed a bunch of New York and Brooklyn and five boroughs organizations, and the amount of burnout that they face with their fosters and trappers is like more than ever. They're telling me.
yeah, it just got a lot for me at that point in my time, a couple years ago, and I kind of just stopped completely because I just couldn't do it anymore. And when I started this project up again, I knew I couldn't let it get to that point again, because even doing a little bit is better than doing nothing and then, just ruining yourself. So,
Yeah,
I,
the the the,
yeah.
the, the teaching I think is so important. I wish there was more of that, um, just to be able to show people it's not fundamentally it's not that difficult. I mean, can you go into how you trap? I mean, can you give us like a 3-second crash course?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not, as you said, super difficult. There's a couple different trap brands. I really like the True Catch, especially like the bigger ones. They have a fat cat trap, it's called. So it's a little bit wider and longer, so it's kind of more comfortable for the cat. Once they get trapped instead of the like narrower, smaller ones. Um, so I try and use those traps, and I just bait the one end. Usually I use tuna, rotisserie chicken, sardines, anything kind of nice and smelly. Um,
Right, so it
and they,
attracts them.
yeah, yeah. And then I'll do like a little trail like going into the trap. Just even some of the juice, sometimes I dribble it a little bit just so it has that smell. And then I'll open and set the trap on the other end. Sometimes I cover the trap, sometimes I don't, depending on the cat and the situation. And then from there, it's just pretty much a waiting game.
And the waiting could take minutes or hours or days sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, some cats, if the regular traps don't work, we would use something called a drop trap where they kind of go underneath of it. Um, but even that, like some cats have to be trap trained. So we'll leave the trap propped up, of course, securely so it can't fall, and let the cat eat under it and around it just to get them more comfortable before we try and actually trap. Of course, we don't do this in like public areas, if it's like a backyard or something where
Right.
the traps can be safely left. But yes.
Hello? Stephanie, I think we lost you again. Stephanie?
Hello?
I lost you again. No problem. That part we could edit. So once you've trapped the cat, like what do you bring them right to get fixed? Like what do you do immediately after you trap the cat? Like door is closed, cat is freaking out, spinning around, going, what the hell did you just do? What is like the immediate next step?
So immediately we would cover them with a towel or a sheet just to calm them down. And being covered, it does help them feel a little more secure. Usually they start freaking out. I've had maybe a handful of cats that still continue to freak out once they're covered, but mainly they calm down, right away.
Right.
Yeah. And then
once they realize there's nothing they could do, I guess they just kind of resign themselves to being in, the fact that they're caught.
Yeah, and the fact that if they're not like out in the open, all these weird people staring at them and they're in some kind of box, they don't know what's going on. But
Right.
Once they're covered up, it's more like a hidey hole. Like they can't see anyone, nobody can see them. So they're kind of like, I guess they calm down a little bit because they don't realize as much what's happening.
And then that cat goes to get fixed.
Yeah. So if, the appointment, is until the morning or whatever, we'll set them up for the night, paper in the trap. Every now and then, like if we trap a day early, obviously we'd have food and water in the trap until their appointment time. Then they would get dropped off at the vet and then picked up, obviously, when the vet calls us for pickup.
And then they recover with you, I guess, before they're re-released?
Either with me or sometimes the homeowners will agree to do it, which if they feel comfortable enough, I say, sure, like I'll show you. Because again, I'm all about the teaching because we really need, more people to understand, the process and be willing to like help themselves.
Right.
Because we've had that happen several times. Like I've, taught a bunch of people and now they're like trapping, for other people. So it's good. It's kind of like continues, the cycle. Like the more we teach, the more those people can teach and, help others.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the most valuable resource. More people that can trap means more cats that could get fixed, and means you could, put a dent on what is a never-ending epidemic of homeless cats.
Exactly.
And where do you have like a region, a neighborhood that you focus on, or you'll go anywhere on the island, or do you focus on just specific towns?
I used to kind of go everywhere. Now mainly people ask for help in my area, so I'm in Central Islip. There's a ton of cats here. Or the surrounding areas. So if someone reaches out, no matter where they are, I try and help them somehow, even if they're in Queens, like I try and do my best to find someone that can help them wherever they are if I can't. But I try and stay more local.
And how many cats are in your care now?
So right now we got 40 little furry babies. They're the love of my life.
Of course.
So,
how could you not love any of them?
I know. They're all different. They all have different personalities. And it's just really amazing to see because some people, they don't really realize they just say, oh, it's just a cat. They don't realize how different they all are, and, how affectionate, and, they're like amazing little creatures.
I mostly, which is why I do this show, I mostly prefer cats to people.
Me too.
I have had more fulfilling relationships, so to speak, with felines than with people. My ex can attest to that, but I digress. But that's besides the point. So my big question, I'm always curious about this. So obviously you got into TNR before when you were in grade school. So that's a long span. Have you seen, and I take it you grew up on Long Island in Suffolk County?
No, I was actually I lived in Massapequa.
Okay.
See, that's kind of a trick question because we basically were out in Shirley all the time because we were homeschooled.
Okay.
Then when my parents sold the store, when I was about 16, we were more in Massapequa. So I guess it's like half and half at this point.
But Long Island, have you seen
Yeah.
have you seen a change from childhood to now in terms of the state of affairs with homeless cats on Long Island? What changes
Um,
have you seen for the better, for the worse?
I think more people are getting involved and trying to help, which is a good thing. Um, it just seems like there's a lot more cats. But there are more people kind of realizing what's going on and trying to lend a hand and do something.
That's that's probably the first time I've heard that perspective of you see more people wanting to try to help. And why do you think this is probably not a question that can be completely answered. Why do you think there are more cats? Are there more just people that aren't fixing their cats as much, or
Um,
I spoke to somebody the other day in Brooklyn where she enlightened me on the big problem of backdoor breeders that
yeah.
and I it was very upsetting to hear. Why do you think there are more cats? Can you even answer that question?
Um, I think that is a hard question. I think part of it is people think they can't afford the surgery to get their animals fixed. Um, but there are a lot of low cost options out there. So I think that's one of the reasons. Another reason is I think a lot of people let their unfixed cats out. So obviously, there's feral cats roaming around that aren't fixed, and we all
Yeah,
know what happens.
yeah, right.
And then like the cycle just continues. So, their cat has a litter, and then it just more, more unfixed cats. Um, I think a lot of it is people who want to try and do the right thing, but they don't know where to turn for help. Either, they don't have the funds, they don't have the like tools, traps. Um, and then I think there's some people that really just don't care. And, you know, you can say it till you're blue in the face to them, and they just don't care that their animals are reproducing and there's tons and tons of cats. It just doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, and I wish there was a magic pill to educate people faster, but we know that'll never happen.
No.
Just I have a colony that comes to my yard. All but one of them are TNR'd. The last one will elude me forever, but I'll get him. On the next block, there's one house there are kittens and cats sleeping all over the property, and I never find them. They're never home. I never get to speak to. I rang the doorbell. You just see the cats coming and going. They look at me. They could care less. That's their property, and it's obvious they're not fixed because the males are intact, and you never see anybody there. It's obvious somebody lives there, but they're never home when I'm there. So I either have to leave a card or stalk them to get to and I don't want to stalk them, So it's just, you know, one block is somewhat under control, and you just go one block over and it's seemingly out of control. So I wish there was a magic pill, but there's not. That's why you know, one person at a time, just getting people's stories and getting their opinions, um, is the best we could do. So of your 40 cats, are any of them adoptable? Do you adopt out?
So the guys we take in are mainly unadoptable. Um, they're usually feral. They usually have health issues. Um, the last couple ones we took in, they were feral when they came to us, and now they're like love bugs. So it's kind of weird, but they get to that point and they're kind of like bonded with us. So even if they were like adoptable, I wouldn't be able to give them up at this point.
But they have literally a community of their own, like a retirement community.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty much what it is.
I,
Retirement community.
I'm picturing like assisted living for cats, which I've never heard of quite that angle. I think that's wonderful. So I really appreciate that you came on the show, and you know, we finally found a good signal, and everything you do, I think that's wonderful that there's at least some place that homeless cats that have kind of had a rough time of things. Because you hear so many stories like that of you know, I've had John DeBacker on the show, and all of what he posts of some cats that have been to hell and back. So at least that some of them have some place to go where obviously you've spent your life doing this. I think is just wonderful. Did any of the cats eat ice cream when you were a kid, like vanilla ice cream, or no? I think we lost Stephanie again. Stephanie? Well,
Hello?
there you are.
I'm completely stationary. As I said, my own home does not have a good signal.
Yeah. I'll edit. That's no problem. Where did you lose me?
When you were asking about the cats eating the ice cream.
Okay, yeah. I did any of them? Because I had a cat when I was a kid that loved vanilla ice cream. Did that ever happen? Did any of them want ice cream?
So once the ice cream tubs were emptied, I brought them outside so the cats could lick out the empty tubs. So they did
Great.
only vanilla, no chocolate. But
Of course.
yes, they did eat ice cream.
Yeah, my first cat, Tyler, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream. That was like, you know, until he got brain freeze, that was his favorite thing in the world. I'd have to hide my ice cream from him.
They like the whipped cream too.
So that's really funny that not only you had ice cream, you had ice cream, you had cats in an ice cream shop. That sounds like freaking paradise to me. And they got to lick the ice cream, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, and most of them had ice cream names too. So we had vanilla and chocolate and vanilla chip and mint chip, and I don't even remember the others, but it was fun.
That's great. The last thing I always like to do is I like to give the person I'm talking to the floor for a minute. So you have the floor. What advice do you want to give people? Be blunt, curse if you feel you need to, whatever. What you have the floor, just strongest piece of advice you can give people.
I think it would be to never give up. Even if things seem really hopeless and you're tired and you're done, just don't give up completely. Take a break, you know, look at your life, spend some time, just take a break because the cat rescue will always be there. There will always be cats that need help. You know, if you're not in the right state of mind, you're not going to be a help to anyone or anything. So I think it's important to just, if you feel that burnout coming on, no matter how many people are asking you for help, just you need to say, I can't right now, because it's just, if you're done, then you can't help anyone else. And that's what I learned the hard way. And that's why right now I know what I can handle, and that's all I'm handling, because I never want to get to that point again. Like, I still want to be able to enjoy doing rescue and being able to help, and not, sitting crying at night, just angry, depressed, sad. And I never wanted to get to that point myself, and I don't want anyone else to get to that point. So my advice is, if you feel you need a break, take one for as long as you need, and then just jump right back in, because it will be so much better. That's my piece of advice. That's what I have learned.
I think that's so very important. So many people get burned out. I get burned out from editing the show, and I'm not even doing anything to rescue cats, really. So I think that's just extremely important piece of advice. Always take breaks. It'll be there when you want to come back.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you so much. I will edit this together. It will sound as good as I could possibly get it. How can people find your organization?
So we are on Facebook, Community Cats of Long Island. We're also on Instagram. Right now, we still haven't done the website because there's just no time, but eventually we'll get there. So for now, we just have the Facebook and Instagram pages.
Cool. So, sir, go find Community Cats of Long Island. You're doing amazing stuff. She has an assisted living place for cats, is what I'm calling it. I think that's awesome. It's cats that really need that kind of thing. Thank you for what you do. One last question: do your parents still make ice cream? Do you make ice cream at all? I'm sorry to keep going back to ice cream, but I keep thinking.
No, you're good. So they sold the store years ago. But eventually, what I would love to do in the future is have a cat cafe, but have it be ice cream. So like an ice cream cat cafe. So there'll be like adoptable cats, and you can get an ice cream cone there too. So, because I really love doing the ice cream thing. So
I'm glad I asked another ice cream question. I think that's an awesome idea. That's really cool. I keep trying to get them on the show, and none of them answer me, but I love that idea, of cat ice cream. I think that's awesome.
yeah. So in the future, we have a lot of ideas and
Sure.
Dreams and stuff. So that'll definitely be one of them.
Well, I will film it for my YouTube channel when that happens.
Sounds good to me.
Great. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your insight. And thank you for everything you've done your whole life, literally, to helping homeless cats. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me on. It was a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
And there you have it. Just amazing. Amazing what she does on behalf of not only friendly cats, but sometimes unfriendly cats or unadoptable cats. Because every cat, whether they're friendly or not, they need our help. As I've discussed, I have a colony of about 7 cats that show up at my door. And that number has, changed over the years, and the cats have changed over the years. There's been some old timers, but some move on from one way or another. But a few of them you can't go near. My beloved Frank, the best I was able to do was boop his nose. There's an orange cat named Cheddar who has eluded my efforts to trap him so far, but I won't give up. He's an orange cat. He shows up for food. If I go outside to put the food out for him, he'll kind of move off and kind of run away for a few feet and kind of keep his distance. And as soon as I go back inside, he'll eat his food. If he wants more, he'll just sit by the door and look at me, but you cannot approach him. And I've had a few cats like that don't want anything to do with me, but come, they know they're safe, and they appreciate the food. So those cats need help too. So thank you, Stephanie, for telling your story. Thank you for joining the show. We really appreciate it. And why do I keep saying we? It's me. I really appreciate it. So thank you, Stephanie. Go find her. If she needs trappers, she needs all the help she can get. So please reach out to Stephanie if you're able to trap and if you're on Long Island. And if you're not, donate or do what you can, because we all need to do our part. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week in episode 29. Have a great week. Stay safe. Keep your pets safe. Goodbye.